Happy discuss ideas. And today we are going to discuss a theme which is about different approaches to tackle the problem of development in Africa. And the theme will be big push with bottom-up approaches. As you know, we have many economists who are trying to propose approaches so that Africa can be developed. But many of those approaches, some are not efficient and the others are. But we need to know which one can help Africa and which one cannot help Africa. And as you know, I'm not alone. I have my friend with me to discuss this topic. My friend Alassane, who you know already. Good morning, Alassane.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you.
And I think that you are ready.
Oh yeah, I am.
Thank you. The theme that we are going to discuss is from a book written by William Easterly that you can see on your screens. William Easterly is an economist, American economist, and he has done a lot in his life. William was born in September 7, 1957. As I said it before, he is an American economist who is specializing in economic development. He is a professor of economics at the New York University. And he has written some books, and I have a list of 3 of those books. One is The Tyranny of Experts, Economics, Dictators, and the Forgotten Rights of the Poor. That book was published in 2014. Another book that he wrote is The White Man's Burden, Why the West's Efforts to Aid the Rest Have Done So Much Ill and So Little Good. That book was published in 2006. And the last one that I have on my list is The Elusive Quest for Growth, Economists, Adventures and Misadventures in the Tropics. This was published in 2001. But also, William is a man who has worked at the World Bank. From 1985 to 2001, he worked at the World Bank as an economist and senior advisor at the Macroeconomics and the Growth Division. Not only that, he has worked also with some institutes, like Institute for International Economics. And also he worked with the Center for Global Development. So he is a person who is talented, who is well educated, and he has been helping people in Africa, Latin America, and even in Russia. So this is the person who gave ideas that we are going to discuss today. But what is interesting with William is that he is at the opposite position with Geoffrey Sachs. You know, to help African countries and other countries around the world, I mean developing countries, Geoffrey Sachs proposed what he called big push. It's a theory which means that developing countries are trapped in what he called poverty traps. And to help them, people need to come with aids, meaning that those countries cannot get out of those poverty traps by themselves. They need a big push, meaning they need aid to come in so that they can get out of poverty. But William is saying no. This is not the case, because what you're calling poverty traps are just illusion. They are not there, and the people can work around by themselves without receiving some kind of aids from outside. So what he's proposing is the bottom-up approach, and we are going to discuss about this. And I will ask my guest, Alassane, what do you know about bottom-up approach?
Oh, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this approach, this bottom-up approach regarding development. As I read in William's Italy book, the bottom-up approach is giving the means to African countries to develop themselves, not only to give them the money, but you just give them a way. You just show them the way, so they can do it in their own way. So they can use their own methods.
Okay, that means that development should not come somewhere else, but it must be built within the community itself.
Yeah, it's
people
like
who are working,
yeah,
and they get some experience and they build it.
Yeah, it's like a homegrown solution.
Okay.
Yeah, you just set up the method yourself, and then you work it on your way.
Okay.
That's a bottom-up solution, bottom-up approach.
Okay, so he wants to give the opportunity to people in communities to build their own development
Methods, yeah.
method.
Yeah.
By trying, failing, learning, you know, and in this way they can move forward and create their own development. Yeah. So let me go back a little bit, ask some questions about the big push. I know even the World Bank has been supporting big push, giving money to different countries who are in need, really, and they expect by doing that they will help those countries to develop. But he is refusing. But the question is, what is the advantage, as we know our African countries, because we are talking more about Africa here, as we know, what is the advantage that you can see of giving this big push, and the disadvantage of it too?
Yeah, the big push approach has shown its own limits. We have been doing that for so many years, since the 50s, after the creation of World Bank and IMF. There are a lot of people who started advocating the big push approach. But there are some studies that have shown that it didn't really help. The more you give aid, the less growth rate you create. And even William Italy has shown that in his book, since 1970 up to now, up to 2002, they show that the more aids the countries get, the less growth rate they produce. So it means that this approach didn't really help at all. So, but the only thing they came up with, they noticed that countries with good governance, with little corruption and what should I call it? And democracy, strong democracy, showed a growth rate, but that doesn't really reflect the amount of money they have received. So it means that overall the system didn't do a good job.
And even if we can make allusion to another economist like Dambisa Moyo, for example.
Yeah, Dambisa Moyo.
She said that aid is not working in Africa.
Yeah.
So we should find an alternative to that.
Yeah.
So it's like even though the World Bank is supporting this approach, but the result is not really
what we are expecting.
What we are expecting. It's just under the expectation.
Yeah, when we were discussing about Dambisa Moyo's, Moyo's approach of dead hand, dead aid, I mean, she said that, the international financial institutions are doing that because they have more employees. They have to find ways to pay them.
I remember he said that.
So they have to give the money. And sometimes I say that, we need to make sure that the country has good governance. There's no corruption and democracy is working fine. But sometimes they don't even
follow their own
but sometimes they don't.
rules.
They just disregard that and then give a loan, knowing that the country, the recipient country, has to pay the money back with interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one. That's the first thing that's preventing aid from working, from creating prosperity in Africa. And the second thing is, it comes with conditions. The financial institutions, when they are giving the money, they set up like condition, the way, how you should use the money. They set up their own way. You should, this is the money that we are giving to you, we are lending you, and this is how you should use it. And mostly it doesn't work because the conditions doesn't really reflect the realities on the ground.
So just at the beginning, you see your hands tied already.
Yeah, exactly.
And you are not free to do what you think is helpful to you. But someone else will decide on your behalf, which is not good at all.
Exactly.
But as you said, people keep advocating about a big push while the result on the ground is not that much. And we wonder why. And that's why I think William Easterly came with this new approach. He said that people should be trying by their own. Try, fail, and try. He preferred to help these people who are trying and fail, to push them, to help them so that they can keep until they find their own way of doing development. And this is what he calls bottom up.
Bottom up.
So the development must be built within a community, bottom up, not up down.
Yeah, but the tricky thing is, when you are receiving money from the donors, the international donors, they expect you to pay the money back with some interest.
For sure.
Yeah, so they're not going to let you try and fails approach. They are not going to let you use the trial and fail approach because they want their money back. I think the big problem that we are facing in this one is how to find someone who is going to give you the money and tell you to try and fail until you find your own way. That's one problem.
That's a good question. But I think when William says about that, is counting on your own fund, your own capital.
Yeah.
You try by a simple means, you fail, but you keep trying.
Oh, exactly.
So you don't expect something to come outside. It's just the money that you can collect in your own community or by your own initiatives.
Yeah.
So, and when you succeed, then people can come and help. I think this is what he's trying to say.
This is a good approach, but you need to, and when we think about that, we have a problem with leadership in African countries. We need to have good leadership. leaders who are able to take initiatives to do that. But we don't have it in Africa, because you need to set a model, to make yourself a role model, and then your citizens are able to follow you.
Yeah.
So if you are just promoting ideas and theory, and then you are not doing it yourself, nobody is going to listen to you. That's the problem. You need to be able to convince your citizen to do that. That's where the problem is.
Okay.
I know that in 1980, from 1983 to 1987, in Burkina Faso, when the revolutionary regime was in place with Thomas Sankara, so he is giving an example. Himself is, is leading.
Yeah.
He
was up front.
Yeah. When we do like public work to build the railroad, you see him there doing that. And then what he did is he decreased the salary, the wages of the public servant workers.
Okay.
He reduced it. And
so
then
that
he made some savings out of that. And then he built hospitals and schools.
You see?
Yeah. And then himself had a lower wage at that time. So he led by example.
Okay, that is a good example how we can get a fund by our own and start doing development right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of waiting planners, I mean, Easterly is calling planners people who are in the office, economists, who are making plans for other countries.
Yeah.
So I said, instead of having planners, we should have people who are searchers.
Yeah.
What he said, those who learn through trial and error in the field.
Yeah.
That's what he calls searchers.
And
I wanted to finish by this. I think we have a big problem maybe with searchers. The problem, you said it already, how they're going to get, the fund. How they're going to get the fund. I know I said that they can collect the money in the community to have that fund, or someone who has means, he can just start by himself and do things.
Well, actually, we can. This is one step. Another step is they can collect taxes. They can they can try to increase the fiscal base, find a way so that many people can pay taxes, and they can wisely use that money to fund the economy. But they have to do it on their own way.
Now you are talking about the government who can collect the taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are trying to think how we can get a fund. If the government has the willingness to do it, they can collect some taxes and make a savings to start doing a project within the community.
Exactly.
And we need to have some people who will initiate those ideas and those initiatives. So yeah, I think we from there we can get some fund. Recently I got an email from one of my friends who is working as a development agent. This person told me that now he is gathering 100 families in the village to start a savings account. And they will be putting into the savings maybe $10 every month. For every family, $10 every month. And he is expecting at the end of the year to get some money that they can use to start their own projects in their own village. Initiatives like this one can help. If people can consent, can accept that, I think they can have a fund locally without waiting foreigners to come with fund to help them do their own projects. And at this point, they can be free to decide which project to do, which project is helpful to their own community, instead of being tied hands at the beginning with those funds coming outside, because all the time those funds come with the string
attached
on it. So it's better people to start thinking about how they can have their own funds locally.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good initiative. You need to have, even if you have 5 people with those kind of initiatives and ideas in a community, or let's say in a province, I think it can go from there. It can have a rippling effect.
Yeah.
If those people will succeed in their activities, I think we are going to see
other people
to,
imitating the same thing.
Yeah, to try to imitate the same project, and from there it can have a huge rippling effect.
Yeah. And this gonna respond to the question how to create bottom-up development approach. It's just to have people who are on the ground, who are searching, who are collecting money, trying to create funds right there. And I think they can do it. You know, sometimes myself, I ask this question. One person in a community can build his own house, a decent one. Now, how come 100 people or 50 people can be unable to get money to do a project?
Yeah, you know, sometimes it's not an easy thing to gather people together to set up like a community. People have different views, different ideas, different opinions, and to have them agreed on one thing sometimes is not easy. But I think it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It's feasible, but you just need to have the stamina, the strength to keep, trying to put people together.
So they need a leader.
You need
maybe
to have
a charismatic leader.
Good leadership
good
skills.
Leadership.
Yeah, skills.
Yeah. And also, we have been hammering on this. Our governments, they needed to chip in something, you know, by their good leadership, they can help those development project to start if they have some good policies about this. Because without those big, not big, but those good policies, things cannot move forward. Yeah, because we do have people who have initiatives, ideas. Even sometimes they do have money, but the problem is the conditions in which they live cannot help them to do what they need to do for the benefit of the community. And that is the big problem. So again, our leaders, especially here, political leaders, they should lay down policies which will help or favor the initiatives to take places in our communities. Otherwise, it will be always a problem.
Oh, exactly. But I think also that we have civil societies, activist group in our countries now. If you look around the continent, in each country, you see there are many activist groups, what we call civil society. And they started to be influential in policy making, in decisions too, due to the social media. Social media is playing an important role in changing, in changing the way our countries are led today. So what I would like to say is those activist group or civil society groups, they started just talking about and keep criticizing the system in place.
So they should be like groups of pressure on our government so that they can change their policy and the way they lead the people.
Exactly. And then I noticed that they are being influential. I mean, since the social media have, have been in our countries, so it's changing. It's just a matter of being more organized and having interesting topics to talk about. In this way, they can change the course of things.
Okay, so if I hear you well, you mean that bottom-up approach is possible.
It's possible.
Where people will not depend with the foreign aid.
Yeah.
They can start by their own things and be kind of a group of pressure to the government to change things so that the conditions can be well for them and they start working.
Oh, exactly. Because, whenever we talk about development in Africa, we notice that the main obstacle is the leadership, the governance. You know, sometimes they don't have the willingness to do. And even if someone take the initiative to do something, and then they see that it's not to their benefits, they can prevent that person from doing what he wants to do. So, as I said, the activist group can start putting pressure on the government and giving orientation, guideline to follow. I think that way they can change the course of things.
Maybe to go back a little bit, why this leadership has been always like that? Why? Is there a reason? It's because they don't care about the people, or they have their hands tied too? Why? Why that?
I mean, it's both. It's both. I would say they don't really care about the people, and then they work for the Western countries. Once they get there, they are more likely to, to do whatever decision comes from the metropole.
Okay.
So that's one idea, and another thing is, as I said already, what they care is just getting the money from them, getting the money for themselves.
Okay.
That's their main preoccupation.
So they don't care. They don't care for the people, and they are trying also to be loyal to those who put them in place.
Yeah.
So they don't depend on the population so that they can care about them.
Yeah.
And I think we need to change this way. How do you think this can change?
Well, as I said, the activist group can
put the pressure on that.
Keep putting pressure on our government, and criticize the leadership, and at the same time proposing new solutions, new ideas. The social media are
doing well on that.
Doing well in Africa.
On that.
It's easy to spread news, used to send messages. To send messages and then get people to get back to you. So it's easy to communicate now and then put people together, gather people together, and get initiative out of that.
Okay.
I think the social media are doing
good. And at the same time, we should not forget the education too.
Yeah.
People should be educated in that why we need the government, why we need the president to govern us, to lead the country. He should know, and I think many of those, let's say, African leaders, they have benefited a lot from the ignorance of the population.
Yeah.
The population didn't know why we need to have a government, for example, and what is the role of a government in a country. And they didn't have even access to read all those documents, so they are just there watching what is happening. Instead of participating into the governance of the country, they will be there just watching what other people are doing.
Yeah, I think, I mean, as we said, the social media is doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if you want to spread messages or news, you don't have to do it in official language, either French or English.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do it in any local language. You just explain people what's going on,
And they will see.
Yeah, exactly. They can understand, even if you don't get you haven't got like formal education, but you can understand things through
your own
languages.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can talk through WhatsApp or whatever, and then Facebook and just send it. People will listen.
And the good thing is also that you can be live on Facebook, for example,
exactly.
and the millions of people will follow you around the world.
Oh, exactly. So I think the things are changing pretty much.
So we need to encourage people to use those medias.
Yes, right? social activist group or civil society group. I think they should be more organized and see the different approach or different ways they can take to get their ideas across.
So what can you say about the places where there is no internet, for example? Or people can get access to internet.
Yeah, but the thing is, even if we start with places that are covered by internet service. We know that big cities and middle towns have internet access now, so which is a good start. So even if we can get our messages, around those areas that are covered by internet,
it's enough to start doing something.
Yeah, we can start pushing and then making a difference.
Donc, what can we say as a resume? I mean, a summary of this. What can we tell our people who are watching us? I mean.
Yeah, we know that big push approach didn't work, and a lot of economists, and there have been a lot of studies on that one that show that a big push are not working, are not really helping developing country to emerge from poverty. The thing is, some World Bank, or I would say some aid advocates, they look at literatures or studies that favor their opinion. That's what we call bias confirmation.
Okay.
And then they just want to work on that. So overall, we know that big push approach is not helping. So we need to rely pretty much on the bottom-up approach in order to create our own development.
Okay. In conclusion, we say that big push approach is not working well because this approach has been done for a long time, and the countries still there, they're still in poverty. So we need to change the method, and the method which seems to be good is the bottom-up approach. And to do this, we need to have people who will be committed, who will be such as William said it, such as failing and restart, not being discouraged because you failed for the first time. You need to restart and start and start, and by doing that, then you can have people who can come and join you and help, so that development can be effective in the community. So I think this is the big idea that we have. It's not bad to get some help from outside, but we should not rely on big push. We need to try this new method, what we call bottom-up approach for development. And this get in the same line as what Dambisa said. Dambisa who was asking even the West to stop
giving aid
aid to our countries. So thank you for listening to us, and for today, we will stop by here, expecting that next time we will see you again and following these ideas which are flying around about development in Africa. Thank you very much, and see you again.